The Argonaut II is a Northwest classic. It once functioned as a mission ship, christened the Thomas Crosby IV.
The Thomas Crosby IV is one of the United Church West Coast Marine mission ships, which ply the rugged shores of Canada's Pacific coast. A coast of inland.
For years, the United Church of Canada operated motor vessels along the remote British Columbia coastline, bringing physical and spiritual nurture to remote communities.
Mail and supplies for the Kellys at Addenbrooke Lighthouse are rowed ashore by the Reverend Oliver Howard and deckhand Ken McLeod.
The Argonaut II was actually built for the Powell River Paper and Pulp Company up in Powell River. They commissioned her as a luxury yacht, but she was actually used to transport their VIP from Powell River to Vancouver.
In 1937, the Powell River Paper Company sold the boat to the United Church of Canada, and her most intriguing years of service commenced.
They had about 6 or 8 boats. Their function was to provide those villages with everything that was necessary for people to survive, both Indian villages and logging camps.
It was his christening ceremony, performed on board because of the tides and landing conditions.
To bring up this child in the knowledge and love of God, to the end that in all things he may grow into union with Christ.
This boat functioned as a hospital, a chapel, a movie house, a general store. It took food supplies up and down the coast. If someone in a small Indian village or a logging camp was injured or became critically ill, if they survived, it was probably because of boats like the Argonaut II. This boat has a strange mystical feeling to it, more so than any other boat I've ever been on. That feeling exists because of the history of this boat, of how it functioned for 30 years. When I look at the handrails on this boat, I have mixed emotions about their function. Of course, their original function is to keep people like us from falling overboard, but if you think of how many people waited, perhaps in great pain, to be able to touch those handrails, to become rescued by this boat, that puts this boat in an entirely different light. But her designer was a guy by the name of Edson B. Schock. But I think one of the most admirable and distinguishing features of this boat's design is the fact that it leaves no wake. People refer to her as a large canoe. She just goes through the water like a dream.
British Columbian Julian Matson devoted decades of his life to the preservation of the Argonaut II.
Julian found the boat in 1970, and he began this 30-year process of, I wouldn't say restoring as much as maintaining this boat. Julian's whole philosophy with this boat was to keep it as original as it always was. I think the Argonaut is an example of a boat that, although built as a pleasure craft originally, has never seen the inside of a boat shed, has never seen a decade that she did not work constantly for 80 years, has been maintained by owners like her current owner, Dave Walker, and Julian Matson, to her original condition, and that constitutes her category as a classic. She is the same boat now as she was 80 years ago.